Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shahada binti Sani and my metric number is S54467. Today I would like to introducing about the institutional school. What is an institutionalist school? Institutionalist school is an educational institution. Is a place where people of different age gain an education, including preschools, childcare, primary elementary schools, secondary high school, and universities. They provide a large variety of learning environments and learning space. The main difference between institute and school is that the institute is an organizational body created for a certain purpose, and school is an institution designed to teach students under the direction of teachers. Often there are research organizations like research institutions created to do research on specific topics. Institutional economics focuses on understanding the role of the evolutionary process and the role of institutions in shaping economic behavior. Its original focus lay in a Trotsky-Veblen instinct-oriented dichotomy between technology on the one side and the ceremonial spirit of a society on the other. Traditional institutionalism rejects the reduction of institutions to simple tasks, technology and nature. See naturalistic fallacy. Taste. Along with expectation of the future, habits and motivation not only determine the nature of institution, but are limited and shaped by them. If people live and work in institution on a regular basis, it shapes their worldviews. Fundamentally, this traditional institutionalism and its modern counterpart, institutionalist political economy, emphasizes the legal foundation of an economy, see John R. Commons, and the evolutionary, habituated, and volitional process by which institutions are erected and the change, see John Dewey, Trotsky Veblen, and Daniel Bromley. Institutional economics focuses on learning, bounded rationality, and evolution. Rather than assuming stable preferences, rationality, and equilibrium. It was a central part of American economics in the first part of the 20th century, including such a famous but diverse economics as Trotsky Veblen, Wesley Mitchell, and John R. Commons.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Shafika. Today I will like to talk about main principle of the institutionalist school. Number 1, holistic broad perspective. In economy activity, pattern of collective action are greater than the sum of the parts. Number 2, focus on institutions. This school emphasizes the role of institutions in economic life. Number 3, Darwinian's evolution approach. The evolution and function of economic institutions should be the central theme in economic. This approach knowledge not only of economic but also of history, culture, political science, sociology, and psychology. Number 4, rejection of the idea normal equilibrium. The principal cumulative changes that may be salutary or harmful in seeking economic and social goals. Number 5, clashes of interest. A representative and impartial government must override clashing interests for the effective working of the economic and social system. Number 6, liberal democratic reform. It invariably Freedom lies favorite and favorite a large role of government in economic and social effort. Number 7. Rejection of pleasure pain psychology. It repudiated the Benthamite underpinning of economic analysis. Thank you.
Do that one dance, baby. That one dance.
Next, the major contribution of institutionalists of school became the basis for economic thinking. One of the economic figure, Thorstein Veblen, was being referenced to economics expert, economic analysis, and so on to contribute in field of economic thinking. With his famous book titled The Theory of the Leisure Class. Second, institutionalists of school also realizing the desire of middle class to reform. Institutionalist school want to be a renewal to the middle class, especially they who are not too rich and too poor, want reform to the organization improve. For example, in small business, union membership, organization, leadership, and so on. They want to increase the living standard and want to take care about welfare and their unity. And then adding an element of realism to economic analysis. Many of members in institutionalist school against or challenge the development of regard orthodoxy. They are not understand each other. In fact, the institutionalists have revised these types of theories to make them more effective. Last but not least is emphasize equality of status. The institutionalists have played an important role to ensuring the class, especially the lower class or the poor, can get the resource or economic resource, and also responsible to distribute with fair and equitable. They also support trust by providing police and justice system that can abide by the same laws.
In this chapter, there are three founders of institutional school. Its founder were Thorstein van Veblen, Wesley Clare Mitchell, and John Kenneth Galbraith. The first founder was Veblen. As we know, his famous book Theory of the Leisure Class in 1899. Veblen created a clear concept of use and striking leisure. Economic historians regard Veblen as the founding father of the institutional economic school. The second founder, Wesley Clay Mitchell, was an American economist known for his empirical work in the business cycle and for guiding the National Bureau of Economic Research in the first decade. Mitchell is known as Thorsten Veblen's best student. And the last founder, also known as Ken Galbraith, was a Canadian-American economist, diplomat, public official, and intellectual. A major proponent of 20th century American liberalism, his books on economic topics were bestsellers from the 1950s to the 2000s. As an economist, he leaned toward post-Keynesian economics from an institutional perspective.
My name is Muhammad Firdaus bin Nur Sazali. My matrix number is 54431. As the conclusion, institutions come into being because they minimize human interaction costs. They can be formal, for example, constitution and laws, or informal, for example, unwritten codes of conduct. They can be specifically created, for example, the United States monetary system, or simply evolve over time. For example, the tradition of giving gratitude. Institutions are the formal and informal rules that govern economic and political behavior. In contrast, the players are individuals and organizations that exploit the opportunities provided within a particular institutional structure. The form that institutions take owes much to that bargaining power of individuals and groups representing them. But once institutions are in the place, the behaviors and outcomes from individual choice reinforce the continued presence. For example, workers' stock ownership through pension plan reinforce support for capitalist institutions. As a result of reinforcement, a nation institution are past dependent. The institutional past living selected or imposed determines the past long taken. Institutions gradually evolve because the players sometimes success in getting the rules changed in their favor. Only when it is clear that a particular institutional path is a death and to achieving desired objective, or when the desired objective themselves change, do societies radically alter their institution.